Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas for the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call to find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW Cable, and independent affiliates. Thanks for joining us also on Hotel TV and on all social media platforms, including our friends over on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. We talk about the greatest this and the greatest that, and here's the GOAT conversation of hockey, football, baseball, basketball, golf, whatever the hell it is. And recently we just had Wayne Gretzky's record of 894 goals beaten by the grade 8 Alex Ovechkin. Of course, a nice round of applause for Alex. And it's real easy to do comparisons of this one and that one. Say, well, you know, Gretz was better and the grade 8 was better. Just like with the Jordan thing, and I mean, Jordan's the best player that's ever played basketball. It is what it is. And you have the same Ichiro and Pete Rose discussion, which we're actually going to have a little bit later on in the show. But let's stick with this hockey one right off the bat because it's kind of fresh. And when you look at these two players, you have a Canadian player and you've got a Russian player. And when you look at these two players side by side, you say, well, you know, they are similar, but they're different. Well, look at it this way. The one thing that you can look at just from the very beginning, which it's a mind-blowing thing, Alex Ovechkin actually broke Wayne Gretzky's record in his 1,487th game. Gretzky scored his 894th goal in his 1,487th game. That's unbelievable. And what are the odds of that? That's the same amount of games with one more goal by Alex Ovechkin. But you have to look at what the players played on. As far as the teams go, you look at who they played for, who they played with. And that's really the big difference maker. Because, look, you could run down these stats, and I could go ahead and go over them very quickly. But more importantly, the one thing you've got to realize is that Alex Ovechkin did not play with the players that Wayne Gretzky played for. Or played with, I should say. Same thing. And when you look at the cast of characters around Gretzky and his Hall of Fame teammates, well, listen, folks, they include the great Mark Messier, Glenn Anderson, the great Yari Curry, the great Paul Coffey, Grant Fuhr, and by the way, another great defenseman along with Paul Coffey was Brian Leetch. And these were two defensemen with Leetch and Coffey that were very big offensive players, very fast skating players. I think Coffey was one of those guys. If you haven't seen him play, folks, you really missed out. He could take 3 strides. He's already in full speed, and this guy is already on the score sheet. Coffey was one of the most exciting defensemen to ever play the game. And Curry was a prolific scorer, a great teammate, of course, Hall of Famer as well. And you think of Mark Messier, I mean, really, one of those key offensive players and captains alongside Wayne Gretzky. I mean, these are just incredible players. How about the great Glenn Anderson? a very, very skilled winger, another member, of course, of the Hockey Hall of Fame. And you see, folks, the list goes on. We think of Grant Fuhr in net, and they say, well, Wayne Gretzky won 4 Stanley Cups. Well, he also had Grant Fuhr, who actually has, I think he has 5 Stanley Cups. I had Grant on the show a few years back, and Grant was a really, really easy guy to talk to, a very good guy to talk to, and just a consummate pro, just like he was off the ice and on the ice. But you look at these teammates, you say, my God, this guy really had some incredible teammates. And you ask yourself, well, geez, did Ovechkin have the great teammates as well? All right, well, let's take a real hard comparison. And the short answer is absolutely not. Ovechkin's most notable and impactful teammates throughout his entire career, particularly, of course, with the Washington Capitals, included a pretty good player in Nicholas Backstrom, and he was the driving force behind Ovechkin's goal-scoring domination for a certain amount of time, and a very good one, but certainly not a Hall of Fame player. TJ Oshie came over from the St. Louis Blues, and he won a cup in 2018 with St. Louis, but Oshie is just basically an offensive guy, not really a defensive guy whatsoever. Tom Wilson being the enforcer. Now Wayne Gretzky also had an enforcer too, and Tom Wilson happened to be Ovechkin's enforcer, but the reality is Ovechkin didn't need an enforcer because he is his own enforcer. And we're going to get into that in a minute, but really, when you look up and down, Dylan Strome, just an emotional player. Mike Knubel's the only guy that actually played with Ovechkin and Gretzky, a very middle-of-the-road teammate, nothing great. And Daniel Zubris, just basically a translator for Alex Ovechkin. They played together a little bit in Russia and at the 2004 World Cup. And honestly, it's just a hodgepodge of other players. Nobody really standout caliber, Hall of Fame caliber. There's not one Hall of Famer on that entire list for Alex Ovechkin. And so when we go back to Wayne Gretzky's cast of characters that he played with, I mean, come on. You're talking Hall of Famers left, right, and center in a team that was loaded with great players. So all the pressure was off Gretzky because he was really an assist guy that happened to have a lot of goals. When you look at the assist, you say, well, geez, Wayne Gretzky had, I don't know, but his total career, 2,027 assists. I guess that's playoffs included. But when you think about the player themselves, you're like, well, that's a whole hell of a lot of assists. And Ovechkin has had 724 assists. Well, that goes to the credit of the amount of great players that you've had with him. So when you've had to do it basically yourself, 724 assists, 894 or 895 goals, whatever. And with Wayne in his entire career, 940 goals, that's playoffs included. But the reality is the Great Eight has passed Wayne Gretzky's goal-scoring record, and he did it in, well, a hell of a lot less games, too. We're talking about 75 games less on top of it he's played. In the grand scheme of things, that's total playoff games included. But it took him the same amount of games to actually break the record head-to-head. So you say, what is the real difference between these guys? Now, I spent many, many years watching both of these players. And Gretzky was a phenomenal player, but he was a real finesse player. And the guy, first of all, he didn't want to get hit. And so he was able to dish the puck off to his great teammates, the Currys, the Andersons, the Mark Messiers, even the Coffeys and Leaches and stuff like that. So the reality is he had options on the ice. And whenever Ovechkin had the puck, everybody would go at Ovechkin because he knew he really didn't have that cast of characters around him. And so you say, well, Gretzky didn't have to play the physical game, where Alex Ovechkin played a very gritty, grindy game, a very Jeremy Roenick-esque type of a game. So he would dish it out on the back end or even on the front end, but he would also drop the gloves. He would fight with you, and he was just an incredible, and he still is an incredible, prolific goal scorer. Mind you, with all the goals that he scored, with all the injury time as well, Ovechkin is that much better. Can you imagine Ovechkin with the same cast of characters that Wayne Gretzky had? He might have 1,000 goals by now. You never know. But when you look at these players, they're very, very different. And Alex Ovechkin's goals Yes, albeit some of them were great. And he was pretty fast. Well, guess what? So is Ovechkin. And so you've got a Canadian player, which the game is allegedly a Canadian game. Not really sure how that one still even holds on to an argument. In the same light, you've got a Russian player, one from Moscow, one from Ontario. And maybe the one thing that I'm kind of curious of, well, actually, I'm going to wait for the next segment to get into that. And it's a little bit about where they're from. But when you look at these guys head to head, you look at, okay, you've got Gretzky who's a 4-time Cup winner, 5-time Lady Byng winner, a 10-time Art Ross Trophy winner, 2-time Smythe winner, 9-time Hart Trophy winner, 15-time All-Star, 5-time Pearson, NHL's all-time anniversary team. And then you look at Ovechkin, he won a Cup. He was an Art Ross winner. He was also the all-rookie team winner, 3-time Pearson winner compared to 5 for Gretzky. And he also won the Smythe. He was also the Calder Cup Trophy winner. He was also a 12-time All-Star, and he's still playing, by the way, 3-time Hart player, 9-time Rocket Richard. So, I mean, this is really something special, and also on the 100th anniversary team. So are they that different? No, they really aren't. When you look at the 50, 60, whatever the hell records they are that Gretzky has, maybe we'll take a look at those a little bit later. The reality is, we say, all right, Wayne Gretzky got 65 hat tricks. I think that's great. And you look at Ovechkin, he's got 33 hat tricks. Who cares? 13 penalty shots for Alex Ovechkin and 6 penalty shots for Wayne Gretzky. Who knows what that really means? But the reality is Alex Ovechkin is the king of the hockey world. And listen, Wayne Gretzky, step aside, boy, because it's Alex Ovechkin's turn to hold that spotlight. Back here with more hockey in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas on the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment is brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our radio and television affiliates, watching as well. Everybody over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for tuning in. Also over in Auburn, Alabama, AUD, WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves, 1230 on the AM dial. Everybody else up and down the West Coast, throughout the heartland, all the way over to our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Thanks for joining us there as well, plus all of our cable operators in select markets, hotel TV, and streaming platforms as well. All right. Into this discussion between Gretzky and Ovechkin, because it's going to happen. It happens everywhere. Listen, folks, it is the Great Eight's turn to take the spotlight. And you say, well, if you compare them head to head, well, first of all, as I mentioned in the last segment, that it was Wayne Gretzky with a star-studded team with multiple Hall of Famers, from the great Mark Messier to Yari Curry and Paul Coffey and Glenn Anderson and Brian Leach and Grant Fuhr, and on we go. And whereas Alex Ovechkin doesn't really have any. Not a Hall of Famer in there. Maybe they haven't been voted in, but there's nobody really Hall of Fame worthy on that team besides Alex Ovechkin. So he's kind of done it by himself. And when you compare them regular season-wise, just head-to-head, and you look at the age difference, all right, so Gretzky from age 18 to 38, Ovechkin from 20 to 39, so basically the same amount of playing years. And when you look at the times, the games played, total games played, Wayne Gretzky, of course, had more playoff games, 1,567 games versus the 1,489 for Alex Ovechkin, and the assists, 2,027 total, playoffs included, to the 724 of Ovechkin. Plus minus, this is a big deal, 540 for Wayne Gretzky on the plus, 63 on the minus for Ovechkin. So obviously it was Wayne's team with all those Hall of Famers scoring a hell of a lot more goals. Now, penalty minutes, it was Alex Ovechkin by about 240-odd penalty minutes. We'll just say 240 penalty minutes more. And when you look at the goals, this is where it gets interesting. You look at the even strength goals, it was Ovechkin at 565 and Gretzky at 654, so 89 more goals for Wayne on even strength. Power play goals, it's 111 more for Wayne, or for Alex Ovechkin. We'll call it 112, 325 to 213. Shorthanded goals, Gretzky with 73 shorties to the 5 that Alex has had, but game-winning goals, mind you, with a lot less games played, 136 game-winning goals for Alex Ovechkin to 91 for Wayne Gretzky. Now, that's not bad. Now, we think about these even-strength assists. Remember, Wayne, with all those great players on his team, 1,201 even-strength assists to the 447 for Alex. Power play goals, that again, with all those great players, power play goals when it comes to the assist world, 686 for Wayne, and Alex had 276. And, of course, when it comes to the shorthanded assist, which is kind of a misnomer, you don't really see that a lot, Alex had 1, but Wayne had 76. Now, shots on goal, when Wayne was dishing out all those great assists, he ended up with 5,358 shots on goal to Ovechkin's about 6,850 or so. So that's a real significant situation. Now, you also think of shooting percentage with all the distractions that Gretzky had on the ice when his shots, the ones that actually made it through. Gretzky had a 17.5% clip for Ovechkin, 13.1% clip. And when you talk about total time on ice itself, it was Alex Ovechkin who had significantly more time on ice. And now we look at the playoffs, and that's where the big difference is in all of these numbers, because if you take the playoffs out from the regular season, it's a very different animal. Now, looking at these miscellaneous stats, there's a per game, there's adjusted, plus minus, points shared, and all this other stuff. The numbers actually tilt to Alex Ovechkin's favor if you look at them almost on a per game basis, like a per capita basis. But when you look at it that way, it's a very different game, a very different argument. And you say, okay, well, let's take a look at, I don't know, the Hall of Fame. Yeah, Wayne Gretzky's in the Hall of Fame. Alex will be there. 4 championships for Wayne. And, of course, Alex has 1. 9 Hart trophies to 3 for Alex. 10 Ross trophies to 1 for Wayne, which covered these. 2 Smites to 1, Wayne to Alex. But 9 Rocket Richards, top goal scorer in the league, to 0 for Wayne Gretzky. And why is that significant? Because it goes back to the cast of characters that Wayne played with all those other great players versus Alex playing with, I don't know, a junkyard dog's yard full of players, I suppose. I mean, and that's how you have to look at it. All-Stars. So Wayne has 3 more All-Star games or appearances than Alex does, but Alex isn't done playing yet. So that's really the big difference. When you look at all these stats, you say, okay, that's great. Now let's take a closer look at the records. And Wayne's got a truckload of records. But remember, he had great teams that he was on too. And those records are most goals. That was most goals, of course, since, of course, being broken by Alex. Most goals including playoffs in all those regular season games, right? 122 playoff games. That's a lot of playoff games. Most goals one season, 92. Most goals one season including playoffs, 100. Most goals 50 games from start, 61. Most goals one period, 4, tied with 4 other players. So he doesn't really own that one. Most assists, 1963. Most assists including playoffs, 22-23. Most assists one season, 163. Most assists one season including playoffs, 164, 174. Then we go to most assists one game, 7. Tied Billy the Kid Taylor from 1980. That's crazy. Most assists one road game, 7. Of course, that was that tie with Billy the Kid Taylor. Most points, 2,857 in 1,487 games. That's a ton, but all those assists going to his great teammates. Most points, including playoffs, 32-39. Most points one season, 215. That's nuts. Again, great players will allow you to do that. Most points one season, including playoffs, 255. Most shorties, 73. Most overtime assists, 13. Most goals by a center, 894. Most goals by a center one season, 92. Most assists by a center, 1963. Most assists by a center one season, 163. Most points by a center, 2854 or 2857. Sorry, folks. Most points by a center one season, 215. Highest goals per game average, 1.18. Highest assist game per average, 1.321. Highest assists per average one season, 2.04. Highest points per game one season. You see where I'm going with this, folks. I'm almost done with this list, so hang in there. Most 40 or more goal seasons, 12 in 20 seasons. Most consecutive 40 or more goal seasons, 12. Most 50 or more goal seasons, 9, tied with the great Mike Bossy and Alex Ovechkin. So he doesn't really own that one. Most 60 or more goal seasons, 5, tied with Mike Bossy. New York Islanders, in case you don't know. Most consecutive 60 or more goal seasons, 4. Most 100 or more point seasons, 15. Most consecutive 100 or more point seasons, 13. Most 3 or more games, 3 goal games, career, 50. Most 3 goal games, one season, 10. Longest consecutive assist scoring streak, 23. Longest consecutive point scoring streak, 51. Longest consecutive point scoring streak from start of season, 51. That doesn't even include playoff records. And then there's all-star records. There's all kinds of those. I mean, we're on a roll here. Let's just go with it. Most playoff goals, career, 122. Most playoff, this is all Wayne Gretzky, folks. Most playoff assists, 2 one series, 14. Most assists in 5. Most assists, 1 playoff period, 3. But that's also. And then the list goes on. 1 playoff period, 4. But he's tied with 9 other players. shorthanded goals, 1 playoff year, 3, but he's tied with 5 others. So he doesn't own those. Most all-star records. The all-star records I don't even give a crap about because those, honestly, they don't really matter too much, right? When you think of what is he's really done that's retroactively recognized, most 3-point games, 40, most 5-point games in a season, 15, most multi-point games, career 300 or 824, most 3-goal games in a season, 10, most multi-goal games in a career, 189, most 2-assist games in a season, 44. Most 3 assists, 27 in one season. Most 4 assists, 12 times in one season. Most 5 assists, 4 times. He's done that season, 4 times in one season. And most multi-assist games in a career, 575. And then there's a whole bunch of unofficial records. And the list goes on and on and on and on and all these milestones. And you say, well, wait a minute. If he's got all of these, I mean, folks, the records, the list is insanity. Really. And then we go back to Luke Kaplan Trophy, Hart Memorial Trophy, Art Ross Trophy, Charlie Conacher Humanitarian Award, Conn Smythe, Lester B. Pearson, Outstanding Player, voted by the players, Lady Byng, Sportsmanship, NHL Plus Minus Award, Stanley Cups, we already know about that, Canada Cups, Chrysler Dodge NHL Performance of the Year, Dodge NHL Performance of the Year, Lester Patrick, Outstanding Service to Hockey, United States, Lou Marsh, Canadian Athlete of the Year, Lionel Conacher Award, Canadian Male Athlete of the Year, NHL All-Star Game MVP 3 times, NHL MVP, yes, Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year, AP Mailer of the Year, New York Rangers MVP, Olympic gold. Yes, he had that too. And World Cup of Hockey champion. All of that stuff. It gets crazier and crazier. The list is on and on and on. But remember, when you got a great team, folks, that's what you could do with a great team. When you have average players, you don't pile those up, and you have to work a hell of a lot harder for those awards. We're going to come back with Alex's, and I'm going to shift into baseball. Don't go anywhere. Last Mark Kim here on the Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows, which could be all found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, and all other streaming platforms, plus social media platforms as well. While you're at thesportscircus.com, make sure you click the top tab where it says store. Pick up your Sports Circus hats, t-shirts, sweatpants, travel mugs, coffee mugs, mouse pads, you name it. They're all there, all made in America, great products, and of course a shameless plug for the Sports Circus. Sorry, it is what it is. I have to plug a little bit just because. All right, welcome back to everybody on Radio TV. Talking a little bit about the Gretzky and Ovechkin. Ovechkin, of course, breaking Wayne Gretzky's seemingly impossible goal-scoring record, and he did it in the same amount of games, which was really cool. And there's so many parallels to the careers, but at the same time, the players are so very different. In the last segment, we talked a little bit about the ridiculous laundry list of Wayne Gretzky's records. And the reality is, Wayne broke a lot of those records because he was on great teams. He had great players. He had 6 Hall of Famers with him, whereas the great 8, Alex Ovechkin, really doesn't have any. If you look up and down his roster of players that he's ever played with in the NHL, you'd be hard-pressed to find one Hall of Famer. And so, of course, in the last segment, there was a nice handy-dandy list of all those Wayne Gretzky records, official, unofficial, whatever. Well, listen, Alex is still playing, and he's still got a lot of life left in those legs. And the reality is, Alex might play another couple, 3 years, and he'll very well could break 1,000 goals. And I think that's probably what the goal would be. But nonetheless, just taking a quick look at what Alex has done. His NHL official records are most goals scored in a career, of course, which he broke that. Most goals scored by a left winger. Most goals scored by a left winger in a single season. Most scores scored by a left wing rookie, 106. Most career points by a left winger, 16-15. Most career shots on goal, 67-57. Man, that's a lot of punishment in front of the net, too, by the way. Most career game-winning goals, 136. That's a huge, huge amount. That's almost 2 seasons worth. Most overtime goals in a career, 27. Most career power play goals, 325. Most goaltenders scored on, 186 different goalies he scored against. Most 30 goal seasons in a career, 18. Most 40 goal seasons in a career, 14. He's still going, by the way. Most 50 goal seasons in a career, 9. Tied, of course, with Wayne Gretzky, but he could probably beat that with another year or two. Most consecutive 30-goal seasons, 15, tied with the great Jaromir Jagr. And then there are some other ones as well. First player to win the Art Ross, the Rocket Richard, the Lester Pearson, the Hart Memorial in a single season. That's right, in a single season. You're talking about just one crazy, incredible season. So basically leading the league in points, leading the league in scoring. Also, by the way, awarded to the Pearson, in case you didn't hear the last one, for the most outstanding player in the league as judged by the members of the NHL Players Association. And, of course, the Hart, which is basically known as the MVP, all in one season. Only player to be named to the NHL first All-Star team in each of his first 5 seasons. Most goals for a single team. Most goals, that's right, all of it with the Washington Capitals. And that deserves a round of applause by itself. Most goals scored on the road in a career, 411. That's huge. Most shots on goal by a left winger. Most shots on goal by a rookie in a season. Everybody had confidence in him. Feed him the puck. Keep giving him the puck. Most regular season points by a Russian-born NHL rookie, 106. Only player to be named to both NHL first and second All-Star teams in the same season. Most goals scoring title, 9. Most goals by a Russian-born player, 895, of course. Most points by a Russian-born player, 1615. Most career empty net goals, 61. Most career game opening goals, 136 times. Then a whole slew of Washington Capitals records, which I'm not even going to mention those. But when you look at these guys side by side, you say, well, wow. I mean, not only were they great players, who was better? I think a lot of it has to do with the teams that they played on and the players that they played with. And so if you compare them pound for pound, I'm going to say that Gretzky was probably a hair better, but if they played on the same team, that would be or better yet with the same players, that'd be a very interesting conversation. And the one guy that I would throw in there that would mess all of that up would be the great Super Mario. Mario Lemieux, in my opinion, if he would have stayed healthy, was the best player that ever played hockey that I've ever seen. I think he was the best to ever lace him up. Mario Lemieux, he is the great one, in my opinion. Gretzky had the great staff. Lemieux had Jaromir Jagr to play with for sure. But I have to tell you, it was really Mario Lemieux that I believe is the greatest player of all time. He just doesn't have all the scoring records and whatnot. All right, so that always deserves a nice round of applause. And there's your hockey discussion. And, there's this, of course, the ongoing theme between, you got a Canadian-born, you got a Russian-born player. Maybe there's a little bias against the Russian player because of what's going on in today's times. Who the hell knows? But Alex is a great team player. The league loves him, and he's a gritty, grindy player. But now let's shift our attention into, yes, we have to do it because we talked about great in hockey. How about great in baseball? And there's the everlasting battle between the greatest hitter in baseball. Was it Ty Cobb? Was it Pete Rose? Was it Ichiro? Which actually, that's the right way to say his name, Ichiro. Ichiro Suzuki. Which one was it? Do we really know? Who is the true hit king? And so you have to look at these milestones and you say, all right, well, let's take a quick handy-dandy look. Now, both players had incredible impact on the game, but in different ways. Ichiro's arrival in Major League Baseball was groundbreaking as he became the first Japanese position player to make a significant mark in the league. And of course, his success opened the doors for many Japanese players to follow as well. Now, that in itself is a very, very different discussion than everything else. And so his success opened those doors for all those players. It brought a big dynamic to the game. And Ichiro is known for speed, hitting, defense, and making him one of the greatest contact hitters and defensive outfielders ever. Now, Pete Rose's impact stemmed from his extraordinary hustle and competitive nature. So his relentless pursuit of excellence and ability to play multiple positions made him extremely valuable. And really didn't matter to what team, whether it's the Phillies or the Reds, whatever. Rose's all-out style of play, highlighted by his iconic head-first slides, set a standard for future generations, really driving the spirit of the game. Now, when you look at it by the numbers, both players have extraordinary records that speak volumes about their careers. But let's take a closer look. Now, if you look at Ichiro, when he played in the Japanese Baseball League, he hit .353. In Major League Baseball, he hit .311. That's not too big of a drop-off. Japanese League, he had 1,278 hits. In Major League Baseball, 3,089 hits for 4,367 hits. That's a lot of hits. Now, technically, it's the second most in professional baseball history, apparently. We only had 118 home runs in the Japanese League and 117 in Major League Baseball. Now, a little note on that. Ichiro was a really good power hitter, but he focused his game on contact and driving line drives rather than hitting home runs. He was actually a rather prolific home run hitter, too. He just focused on driving line drives, driving runs, and he wasn't trying to swing for the fences, and that's why his home run totals were down. Stolen bases in the Japanese League, 199. In Major League Baseball, 509. So you're talking 708 stolen bases. That's nuts. Single season hit record, Major League Baseball, 262 hits in one season. That's right, 262. Now, Pete Rose, you look at him, Major League batting average 303. Well, Ichiro had a Major League Baseball batting average of 311. Major League Baseball hits 4256, most in Major League Baseball history. However, when you look at Ichiro's total hits, 4,367 to Pete Rose's 4,256. You say, well, Ichiro hit a lot of those in the Japanese League. You're right. Pete Rose only had 160 home runs in Major League Baseball. And it was in a hell of a lot less years, only 10 years. It was Ichiro with 117 home runs with 10 odd years less, 15 years less being played in Major League Baseball. And so it was actually Rose hitting 24 years of Major League Baseball, and it was Ichiro with 17, we'll call it 20, they're about 20 years. So those extra 4 years did mean quite a bit of a difference. Now also, when you look at what Pete has done, he had 198 stolen bases in Major League Baseball. Well, just in Major League Baseball, Ichiro had 509. And single season hit records for him at 262, where Pete Rose, he didn't really have that kind of hit total in one season. He was very consistent, but Pete Rose also had most games played in Major League Baseball history of 3,562 and 14,053 at bats in Major League Baseball. We're going to come back to this in just a few minutes here on the Circus. This is a real good one to chop up because a lot of people won't compare these head-to-head because they're too scared that maybe a Japanese-born player, has better numbers across the board than Pete Rose. We'll continue in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus. Join me and Hall of Fame world champion and all-star celebrity guest for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms. Also, thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi Code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. And a big thanks for everybody tuning in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. And also everybody watching on television on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wow Cable, and independent affiliates from coast to coast. Also, Hotel TV in over 500,000 rooms from coast to coast, as well as everybody on all of our streaming platforms. Thanks for joining us there too. And also on Chicago Food Favorites. Again, check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun page, a fun group for your food, your favorite foods and your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes and so forth. Have some fun with it, folks. It's free, it's fun, and it's on Facebook. Check it out, folks. All right, in this comparison, in the first couple segments of the show, we spent time with Ovechkin and Gretzky. Great and great. Greatest scores in hockey. And so now talking about greatest hitters in baseball, just because we can, just doing a head-to-head comparison, you say here you got the Canadian and the Russian going against each other. Here you got the American and the Japanese guy going against each other, stats-wise, that is. And so we're looking at who's more valuable to your team, who's more valuable to the league. And, of course, it was Ichiro having a lifetime Major League Baseball batting average of 311 to Pete Rose's 303. Pretty damn good. Total hits in Major League Baseball for Rose, 4,256. And total for Ichiro between the Japanese League and Major League Baseball is 3,089 hits, including his Japanese League was 4,367 hits. So he had 100 more hits than Pete Rose in less time played as well. RBIs, Pete Rose, 1,314. That's a pretty substantial number. And total RBIs, well, for Ichiro, maybe it was a little bit different. And that's okay. Because when you look at his RBIs, you say, well, geez, he had, somewhere to the tune of Seattle 13 American, maybe a handful less. But more importantly, we think about runners in scoring position. And that's where there's a big difference. Runners in scoring position and grounding in double plays. I think of this as a former pitcher, and I say, okay, the grounding in a double plays is a really big deal. And so as we look at Ichiro's, you say, well, geez, the guy had, a grand total of 92 ground in and double plays. That's not too terribly bad. In all of those years, and we're talking 19 years in Major League Baseball, 19 years period, right? And then you look at what Pete Rose did. He actually grounded into, it looks like about 200 and just under 250 double plays. Pete Rose had more strikeouts than anybody else as well. And now Ichiro's stats, they stand out in his ability to compile hits and really to pile up a high batting average across both the Japanese and Major League Baseball leagues. And his consistency in hitting over 200 hits for 10 consecutive seasons is absolutely unparalleled. That's why he's the first ballot Hall of Famer. And Rose, on the other hand, holds the crown for the most hits in Major League Baseball history, as I mentioned, a record that showcases his longevity and durability. So when you think of the awards and the accolades and whatnot, both guys have a nice list. And remind you, in Major League Baseball alone, these are just the Major League Baseball for Ichiro. 10-time All-Star. He was American League MVP, American League Rookie of the Year, 10-time Gold Glover, 3-time Silver Slugger, 2-time batting champion, stolen bases leader, Major League Baseball, 262 hits in a single season. That's nuts. Of course, Mariners Hall of Fame. And plus, by the way, he had some Japanese Baseball League records too. 7-time All-Star, Japanese Series champion, 3-time Pacific League MVP, 7-time Gold Glove winner, 7 times Best 9 award, 7 times Pacific League batting champion. So this guy won 8 batting titles total. He won a total of 17 gold gloves. That's crazy. All-Star, yeah, 17-time All-Star, just like Pete Rose. Pete Rose, 3-time World Series champion with the Big Red Machine twice and also with the Phillies. National League MVP, they both had one of those. World Series MVP, well, it was Ichiro's with the Japanese MVP league because he hasn't had a World Series. Rookie of the Year, they both got it. 2-time Gold Glove for Rose, but 10-time Gold Glover for Ichiro. Silver Slugger for Pete Rose. Well, guess what? 3-time Silver Slugger in less years for Ichiro. So these are all tilted to him. Now, Silver Slugger, then we have Roberto Clemente Award for Rose, 3-time batting champion in the National League. And it was also 2-time batting champion in Major League Baseball for Ichiro with less years played. They're both in their team's Hall of Fames, and they're both in the All-Century team. So the bigger question is the sheer volume of awards for both players. They really highlight their dominance for their respective eras, but Ichiro's combination of MVP, Rookie of the Year, Gold Glove, along with his All-Star selection, set him apart as an elite player in both Japan and in the United States. Pete Rose's accolades include multiple All-Star selection, 5 different positions, and being part of 3 World Series championship teams, and of course a real versatile player and just a big winning mentality. Now you look at those career milestones with Ichiro, 2001, his debut was historic. He led the league in batting average. He hit .350, stole 56 bases, becoming the first player since Jackie Robinson to do that. Ichiro's impressive performance earned him both the American League MVP and Rookie of the Year at the same time. Single season hits record, 262, which broke an 84-year record. That's crazy. 3,000 hit club, which, of course, Rose did the same thing too, becoming only the second Japanese player to reach that milestone in Major League Baseball. Now, Rose, of course, he has all those hits, the 4,200 and change. 44-game hit streak. I remember watching that on TV when I was a kid. It was Gene Garber that actually struck out Pete Rose, so Pete could not extend to 45. And then all-time hits leader, of course, we know about that because he did surpass Ty Cobb's record of 41.91 and ending up with 42.56. I mean, if you're looking for a legacy and all this other, I mean, look, both of these guys, 2 of the greatest hitters in baseball history, each leaving an indelible mark on the game, and Ichiro's impact as a trailblazer for Japanese players in Major League Baseball, and his incredible hitting consistency across 2 Major League Baseball leagues. That's crazy. 2 major baseball leagues, not Major League, of course, because that's one U.S., that made him essentially a global icon. And his accolades and records speak to his skills, and the guy was just a rock star, period. Now, Rose's relentless hustle, versatility, and unmatched hit record really defined his legacy despite the controversy surrounding his gambling. I don't know. I can't get past that because there's so much that we don't know about Pete Rose and his gambling. I mean, look, the guy went to prison for tax evasion, and he said he wasn't gambling. He did gamble in baseball, and baseball takes into account you're off the field as well as on the field. And so, look, Pete Rose is never going to get in. Sorry, if I had a vote, I would say absolutely not. As a player, just a phenomenal player, but we don't know what happened. We don't know. I mean, look, you can compare these guys. It's like comparing 2 different art masterpieces, and each player brought their unique style. And so it's like comparing Michelangelo to Van Gogh. I mean, it's just 2 different things. And their legacies, of course, are continuing to be discussed and so forth. It's like Michael Jordan and anybody else. Tom Brady and it's a pretty easy one with Tom Brady and Joe Montana. I mean, Montana got there 4 times. He won 4 times. Real simple. It's like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan got there 6 times. He won 6 times. Michael Jordan never saw a Game 7, right? And it was Tom Brady with 7 championships, but he did have a couple losses in there. But also, he's just a very different player. And there were some controversies around Brady. But back to this Ichiro and we'll call him Ichiro and Pete Rose thing. One interesting character, his name was Michael, and he was just this guy got 37 million views on this particular analysis some years ago. He put the biggest problem with this comparison is that Ichiro started his Major League Baseball career at 27, winning both the MVP and Rookie of the Year, as well as a batting title, Gold Glove, and Silver Slugger. Ichiro was faster, he was a better hitter, a better fielder, and we only see the tail end of his career. He had another 3 to 4 peak seasons available, and he missed out on that too. Now, Pete Rose, it wasn't just his longevity that kept him around. He was a great hitter in his prime, and he had excellent batting eye, but he would regularly lead the league in doubles despite being anything but a power hitter, and his on-base percentage was consistently at the 70 points above his batting average. And this guy would say that Ichiro's by a nose. He was better. If he played since, of course, the age of 20, just like Pete Rose, we may be talking about a very different all-time leader. And the only major holes this guy says that Ichiro had was his lack of power, which is not true because he was a power hitter, but he did not try to hit for power in Major League Baseball. And he was a contact hitter. He did not have a big walk rate either. And so remember, Pete Rose led the world in strikeouts too. So you can compare these however you want. And in his peak year, Ichiro walked only 47 times per 162 games against only 70 strikeouts, but he also had 229 hits per 162 games. That's incredible. Finishing his career with 3,089 hits, of course, that's still 1,167 behind Pete Rose. But when you consider that Ichiro averaged 229 per 162 during his first 10 years of Major League Baseball, it's not conceivable that he could have had another 1,200 hits in 7 seasons, is it? I don't know. He played in the majors since he was 20, being Pete. Was he good enough for that? Well, from the age 20, he was playing full-time. Now we'll go to Ichiro, playing in the Japanese Pacific League. And it's a shorter season, but he hit between 342 and 387 during those years, even considering the big difference in pitching quality. I mean, look, you can make this argument till you're blue in the face or purple in the face, but when you compare these hitters, you've got to compare what they did, how they did it, and then when you say, well, Pete Rose, he had an all-star appearance in 5 positions, it was Ichiro's deadly arm out there in right field. Nobody dared to ride on. Nobody dared to advance off that. It was like Dave Parker back in the day. The Cobra had one of the greatest arms in baseball. Dave Winfield had a great arm too. And there were guys that had great arms. But Ichiro had one of those cannons out there, and the guy was basically a pitcher out there, with that kind of velocity and arm strength. And he just really, really did it. And when you compare them head to head, I want to say that Pete Rose was a hair better, but I'm actually going to say as a better overall ball player, I'm going to give it to Ichiro, and it's going to be very unpopular as a former ball player. Look, I know it's a very unpopular statement, but the guy did it. Now, who has a chance to do anything significant? Well, you go back to guys like Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani has a chance to do some things that, everybody else hasn't done. Is he as good as Ichiro across the board? No. Ichiro was a great player, but remember, Ohtani is a better pitcher than a hitter. Ohtani can't hit that ball up and in. He has a real problem getting tied up and in. If they pitched him up and in his whole season, he'd be lucky if he hit his weight. But Ichiro was a guy that could make the adjustments at the plate. He had fast hands. He was very, very fast too, very fleet of foot. So was Ohtani, but I have to tell you, the best Japanese player I've ever seen, without question, was Ichiro Suzuki. No question. But yes, I'm saying he was better than Pete Rose too. For all you people in Cincinnati that listen to this show, you're going to have to get over it. Pete was a great player, but Pete, I don't believe, in my opinion, was a great human either. But he was a very, very good player. So that being said, he will never make the Hall of Fame. And guess what? Ichiro made it first ballot. Pete should have done it, but Pete did some things he should not have done. That's going to do it for the show today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.